this question and conversation around how do we look to the use of evidence and how do we incentivize and make sure that evidence is available and accessible in ways that people can bring it to bear is really kind of where we're focused right now. We think a lot about it's great if you can produce the evidence. It's great that you can report the evidence. That certainly makes you accountable. Until you're using it, though, you haven't brought the circle all the way around. And so I think at this point in the process, MCC is really focused on how do we think about ourselves as an evidence broker for ourselves, of course, and for others as well. And I think the fact that we're thinking about those together is a big piece of how we understand the way we can make progress. So as you mentioned, we already have sector results and learnings pages. They're publicly available on our website. We've got them for each of the sectors that we work in. As we do evaluations and produce briefs, they get immediately loaded to that. That's also what our own staff use to look for where we have this information centralized. So there's not some secret cache of additional evidence that MCC staff are sorting through. It's actually available to others. And that's even more visible in the evidence platform, which I will say everywhere I can, evidence.mcc.gov, where you can actually search by sector, by country, by type of program, by whether you're looking for a data set or an evaluation brief or something you can read. And that, I think, really thinking about what do people need when they are trying to answer a question they have about what they should do to make a difference in the way that they're using their work. So we've kind of stepped fairly strongly into the space of how do we share the information, how do we think about ourselves as an evidence broker. I think are now also starting to think about the internal incentive structure around that. And we, I'll talk to anyone who'll sit still long enough in terms of how are we influencing others. But really, how do we think about as we go through our investment decision-making process? MCC makes fairly large economic investments, hundreds of millions of dollars in grant capital to invest in large systemic infrastructure and policy reform questions. And at what stage in the process do we require the use of evidence or data on what we've done before so that we can understand what the potential impact might be, what the risks and the trade-offs might be? And that's really, I think, now coming into greater clarity for us. And so you can look to hear us talk more about that as time goes.